As Dostoyevsky once wrote in The Brothers Karamazov, above all, don't lie to yourself. These words ring as true today as they did when first penned by the Russian novelist and philosopher Fyodor Dostoyevsky. An influential thinker of the 19th century, Dostoyevsky's work is a deep and profound exploration of the human condition, wrestling with questions of morality, faith, and the very essence of existence. One of his most enduring critiques is aimed at the philosophy of utilitarianism, a belief system that posits the greatest good for the greatest number should be the guiding principle of conduct. Dostoyevsky, however, saw a different path. In his view, such a philosophy can lead to a disregard for the individual, a devaluation of the unique and irreplaceable human spirit. So who was this man who dared to challenge the prevailing ideologies of his time? And what was it about utilitarianism that drew his philosophical ire? With that understanding of Dostoyevsky's perspective, let's delve into his critique of utilitarianism. Dostoyevsky's critique of utilitarianism begins early in the Brothers Karamazov. He introduces characters who uphold utilitarian principles, using their actions and the resulting consequences to critique this philosophy. Dostoyevsky portrays utilitarianism as a doctrine that can lead to moral corruption, as individuals who follow it may justify harmful actions if they believe it will result in the greatest good for the most people. Take Dmitry Karamazov, for example. He embodies the hedonistic aspects of utilitarianism, living a life of indulgence without considering the impact of his actions on others. His life eventually spirals out of control, leading to violent consequences. Through Dmitry, Dostoyevsky questions the moral validity of a philosophy that can justify such behavior. On the other hand, we have characters like Alyosha, who represent the moral antithesis of utilitarianism. Through these contrasting characters, Dostoyevsky explores the complexities of utilitarianism and its potential pitfalls. Through his characters, Dostoyevsky paints a complex picture of utilitarianism and its implications. Perhaps the most powerful critique of utilitarianism in the Brothers Karamazov comes in the form of the Grand Inquisitor's tale. Here, Dostoyevsky paints a picture of a world where happiness is prioritized over moral good, a direct jab at the utilitarian viewpoint. The Grand Inquisitor, a figure of authority, argues that people are better off being happy than free, as freedom breeds suffering. This sentiment echoes the utilitarian belief that happiness or pleasure is the ultimate good. However, Dostoyevsky uses this narrative to show the dangers of such a philosophy. He subtly highlights the moral relativism that can arise from utilitarian thinking, where any action can be justified if it leads to the greatest happiness. He also challenges the utilitarian's simplified view of good and evil by emphasizing the complexity and unpredictability of human nature. And finally, he questions the cost of happiness. Is it worth sacrificing freedom, dignity, and truth? Through the Grand Inquisitor's tale, Dostoyevsky presents a compelling critique of utilitarianism's core principles. In the Brothers Karamazov, Dostoyevsky's critique of utilitarianism is both profound and multifaceted. Let's take a moment to piece together the puzzle that is Dostoyevsky's critique. He was deeply concerned about the moral implications of utilitarianism. For Dostoyevsky, the philosophy's focus on the greatest happiness for the greatest number could lead to the sacrifice of individual rights and dignity. He saw a world where the ends justify the means, a world that could be manipulated by those in power to serve their own interests, as deeply problematic. In The Brothers Karamazov, Dostoyevsky uses the Grand Inquisitor to illustrate these concerns, painting a picture of a society that has traded individual moral responsibility for the illusion of collective happiness. He challenges us, his readers, to question the true price of happiness. Is it worth the potential loss of individual rights and moral responsibility? In the end, Dostoyevsky's critique of utilitarianism in The Brothers Karamazov challenges us to consider the true cost of happiness and the value of individual moral responsibility.